drivers, more drivers, games, and more. Oh, and interviews. This is WSGF News, episode 12.
All right, guys. Number 12, we're back. I'm Chris, as always.
I'm Simon. And let's go ahead and jump on into it. We had a big interview last week.
Yeah.
If you did not catch on, it was posted on the YouTube. It was posted on the forums, the front page.
Yep. Skip
got to talk with some of the AMD guys about the newest driver update. Well, it's 14.6 beta. This is a big deal. And this is with Robert Halleck, Shane Parfit, and Anthony Brown, a technical communications managers, software developers. For this, it's a big deal. The big thing, which I think a lot of us are excited about, is doing different type monitors with each other in iFinity.
This is if you're an NVIDIA user, this is something that would make you want to switch. Yeah. I mean, it makes me want to switch.
You should be jealous.
Yeah, this is crazy, right? So this allows you to use monitors of different sizes, different resolutions, even.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be in the same aspect ratio.
No aspect ratio, nothing, to do iFinity, right? And there's different modes of this. So you can do, fill all the monitors, and it will stretch some of the image out of the.
So So first of all, this is ideal for 21:9 center with two 16:9.
I think that's the golden.
Yeah, that's the golden
ratio
for monitors right now. And Skip's talked about how he loves 21:9 monitors, and he thinks that's the go-to. Recently, in a video, Linus from Linus Tech Tips,
that was a good video.
He said that 21:9 is the way to go.
Absolutely.
And so this is 21:9 is the golden thing. So now you can have a 21:9 with two 16:9s on the side, and it's just going to be perfect.
Yeah, I mean, because that gives you the flexibility. If you're playing, like for me, when I play Dota 2 or a single player, not a single player, but a game that only works on a single monitor, or really is only designed for a single monitor, you don't get any benefit out of playing games like Dota 2 or other RTSs with multiple monitors, really. So it makes sense to have a big center monitor for your single screen games. 21:9 is probably the best right now, I think. Best aspect, you get good vision, most games support it. And then when you want to jump to iFinity, your multi-mon, you crank it up and bam, you've got your 16:9 on the sides. And then you've got even more horizontal viewing, which is, I mean, that's, like I said, this is the golden ratio of drivers and configurations. I would hope that NVIDIA can do this.
Do something like that.
This is going to force them to compete, I think. I think there's a huge demand for it because having 3 monitors of exactly the same size and aspect ratio.
And it's always been suggested that you have the exact models at the same time.
Yeah.
And if you remember last week we talked about how we both did it, how we bought a monitor
one
here,
at a time.
Another one there.
Right.
And I know right now on my older iFinity rig, I have 2 monitors that are the same model, and my center monitor is actually an older.
Yeah. And I think that makes sense because you can't just jump into the deep end, right? You have to wade in. You can't just go. I mean, some people can probably drop $600, $700, $800, $900 on 3 monitors, but some people are going to be like, well, let me just get a big center monitor for now. That looks really good. And then later on, if I want to throw in another video card and do iFinity and add 2 monitors, I can get, I could do 2 monitors just for productivity reasons, right? I can have one big in the middle and a productivity monitor for secondary stuff, and then maybe I add a third. And then I add another video card later, and then bam, these AMD drivers are going to be perfect.
It's great for it. Now you were saying, before I interrupt you with my excitement about 21:9, you can do it in 2 ways. There's a fill, where it will, if you have a bigger monitor, it'll fill up to that, and it'll actually almost, I guess, emulate the monitor,
the missing parts of the other,
as if the monitor is that stretch, but you just won't see it.
Right.
So on games, you
would be missing.
It would probably render it as if it's the bigger thing, but you just don't see it yet.
Right.
Your monitor doesn't actually technically do it.
And then the flip side would be you would have the smaller monitors being the lowest common denominator, which I think is what Skip actual wordage he used in the video was the lowest common denominator.
We use math terms here.
Yeah. So and you would have black bars where the bigger monitors didn't match up with the smaller.
Where the bigger monitors have more resolution, more pixels.
Right.
So it almost be like you would have 3 of the smaller ones
with just the extra space not
black
used.
bars that you would see. Whereas the other way, like I was saying, would be the reverse opposite. It would be like if you had the 3 big monitors and you just don't see what is not possible.
And if you want to see the actual demonstrations of all this, I highly encourage everyone to go to the site and watch the video.
And we'll have it linked down and everything like that. Yeah. Speaking of Robert Halleck and AMD, if you remember last week, we talked about a Forbes article where they talked with him about NVIDIA's GameWorks and how it seems like AMD's kind of cut off from
like Watch Dogs 2 was a big...
that are involved with the GameWorks and that was it As You Could Play or the way it's meant to be official logo thing.
That's their proprietary like APIs that they use for games and stuff. And in this article, NVIDIA actually had a response.
There was a response article in Forbes with NVIDIA and pretty much saying, no, that's not how it works.
Right. Their comments were that they don't lock out developers from working with AMD to utilize these, to optimize the game, to make it work. Basically saying that there's no legal contracts or no legally binding, there's nothing legally preventing
no legal blocking of talking with AMD.
Right.
And they said that if AMD wants to talk to the game companies, they're perfectly allowed to.
Yeah, they're totally fine.
So it is a he said, she said, he said, she said sort of thing. But it's just interesting to see the two different sides. Yeah. Now, he did state that they go through, whenever they sign up for the GameWorks, they go there and they show different effects they can do with the libraries.
Yeah.
So they're showing off things. They'll quickly render something to show how it can be done with their own, I guess, in-house engine that they use for demonstrations. But there's nothing specifically blocking, according to NVIDIA, from discussing with AMD.
And a really good, interesting point that I read on Reddit about that is that, a good example of proprietary APIs that NVIDIA does is physics, right? Or physics. And I don't know if you've ever used it before, but in Batman, sometimes it's just over the top. It's just too much debris. It looks cool for a second, and then after a minute, it's like, this is overly ridiculous. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that all the graphics stuff that NVIDIA is putting out is overly ridiculous. Some of it is actually viable. Like some of the anti-aliasing methods that they're using are actually pretty good. But I feel like it's almost like this NVIDIA GameWorks thing is they're just throwing in a bunch of features into this bag and seeing what sticks. Yeah. Let's add more debris. Let's add thicker smoke. Let's add smoother blah, blah, blah. Let's add this. Let's add that.
It's going like quantity over quality, I guess.
Right.
So right. I'm not saying that NVIDIA isn't quality, but...
Right. Of course not. They're great quality, but it's just, I think some of the enhancements that they're saying are enhancements are more just like, they're just throwing in everything but the kitchen sink and then seeing what optimizations are good. Now, obviously that's still important because it forces AMD to compete and look at what they're making and decide if that's an actual viable, they're doing physics. Do we want to make a competitor to that? Oh, let's do it. If they decide no, it's not, it's kind of gimmicky, they don't make it, right?
Yeah.
But that being said, I'm not really sure who to trust in this article. It's whenever I see, my gut instinct is when I see two people arguing and that one person says one thing and one person says another, it's usually the truth is never one person. It's usually someone in the middle. Right. So we were talking about NVIDIA.
Yeah.
And AMD drivers just came out. NVIDIA drivers also just came out. The 337.88 WHQL driver is now available.
So what's special about these new drivers?
So what's interesting is these are optimized for Watch Dogs.
And we're going to talk about that in a second.
Right, because I know as an AMD guy, Watch Dogs is poor. Some of the other things they've added is they've added some few enhancements on NVIDIA GameWorks libraries, which we were just talking about in the previous segment. Some other libraries, including TXAA anti-aliasing HBO+. They've added some 4K optimizations. And that's, they've improved some of the shader cache settings designed to reduce CPU usage by saving compiled shaders to disk cache that may improve performance and reduce times it takes for the game to load. So loading times for games.
So loading times, sort of performance things.
Yeah.
Nothing, like what we had with the AMD.
No, nothing near at all. It does, from what I've read on the forums, it does provide a lot of enhancements for these newer games that are coming out. So if you are an NVIDIA user and you're playing Watch Dogs or some of the newer video games that are going to be coming out, you probably want to install these drivers. Now, that being said, Watch Dogs for AMD is probably a poor...
All right, so I bought Watch Dogs because I was planning on starting a review series with Wolfenstein. So I was going to write my Wolfenstein thing last night, and I was going to take a break from it, actually take a break from starting it, and play some Watch Dogs. And first of all, I am an AMD guy, and that was the worst experience in getting this game to run. I don't have the greatest card in the rig I'm using right now. It's a 7850. I mean, it's a decent card, but not the greatest card. 2 gigs of video RAM on there. Okay, it's a decent card, and I had to put everything on low, turn every special thing off, textures on low, and
yeah, something interesting. They were saying that like a $500 AMD card won't even run.
Yeah, we did mention that last week.
Yeah, it's a $300 NVIDIA card, which is kind of...
Now, when I got 14.6 beta, those new graphics drivers we talked about, performance was better. Good. I now have textures on medium, or I guess it starts at medium, so it's medium high. So I have textures on high, everything else on low, all the shaders, all the water.
Right.
And I think someone in a review I watched, Ubisoft does good water. Ubisoft has some pretty water, and I have that on low.
Assassin's Creed,
yeah.
It was really good.
So there's a lot of issues with that. It's running better. It's not stuttering.
Good.
Like it was before. I mean,
so we've got a little bit of driver optimization but still not where we want to be.
Especially for the card, which it's a decent card, and it's still a viable card for gaming right now. And I was having situations trying to run it either single monitor or triple monitor. It wouldn't matter which one. Is that after a complete delete and reinstall, where it would shut off my monitors. And there's a Twitch video I have of this, and I'll link it or I'll send it to you, where I'm just holding it and you can see my reaction on the webcam, where you just see it click, 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 and then the blue light comes on my monitors, which means I'm getting signal. Then it goes orange, like I'm not getting signal.
Yeah, they're off.
Why is a game shutting off my monitor? I've never had that issue with any game ever.
Maybe out of range or something. I have no idea.
I don't know what it is. So we have two quick things, and we're going to end this. First things first, we have Cryteck. We've talked about Cryteck before.
Yeah.
With Linux, Cryteck is coming out with Homefront: The Revolution in 2015. It's going to be available for all the consoles, for Xbox One,
and
PlayStation 4. It's also going to be available for PC, Mac, and Linux. So, we were talking about, we need a little counter, like somewhere here. Every time we talk about a game going to be produced and released on Linux, just bing. So here's one more that's going to be at release, as I've read from the Cryteck site, going to be on Linux.
And that's awesome.
Yeah.
The more multi-platform, multi-cross games, it's awesome.
There's like this rash of id people joining Oculus. We have Cass.
We need a counter for that.
We need a counter for that. We'll put that like here. Bing. So Cass Everett, former id, Epic, and I had this written down in my notes, NVIDIA. So talk about NVIDIA. So Cass Everett, former of id, former of Epic, former of NVIDIA. He is a programmer. He's joining Oculus too. I assume.
So another id gone.
Another id guy joining over to Oculus. I assume either it's for just general programming on the Oculus, or it has to do with that first-person content creation team that they've been talking about.
Yeah.
So that's really exciting to see. So, and we've been talking about id, the whole ZeniMax issue with John Carmack and Oculus. So that's probably just breeding more tension. Who knows? But it's going to be great.
Another lawsuit. Yay.
We love drama, right? It's something interesting to watch. So, speaking of things to watch, thank you for watching us. We are WSGF News.
Always, guys, we appreciate it. You can follow me on Twitter at ComputerLasco.
I am at The Destroyer F2W. Follow the main site's Twitter at WSGF. Be sure to visit WSGF.org, the widescreen gaming forum.
And the forums are really important as well.
Check out new DRs, or add new DRs, or just say hi in the forums. Post your battle stations. I know we talked about battle stations last week.
We didn't get any battle stations.
Get some more battle stations up on there. So we like looking at those things.
Also, make sure on the YouTube you subscribe if you want to see more,
comment,
and
subscribe.
Yeah, all of those are very important to us. We want to hear your feedback. And as always, guys, thanks for watching.
Thank you. We'll see you next week.